Welcome into the D2 Baseball Podcast. Robert Fry here today, joined with a special guest and a new member of Division II in UT Dallas and their head coach, Travis Graves. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well. Doing well. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course, and thanks for joining us. Kind of start by a little bit of your journey into kind of playing and now coaching baseball.
Yeah, so I played at the University of Southern Mississippi. Played there a few years. Played in the College World Series in 2009 in Omaha, Nebraska. Won a conference title in 2010, and had a lot of good fun, a lot of good memories there at Southern Miss. Still, obviously, keep up with the program and everything that's going on there in Hattiesburg. But after I got done playing, kind of moved to the JUCO ranks at Eastfield Junior College for a few years for Coach Michael Martin. Won a national championship while I was there. Had a lot of really good players that, again, were there for a couple years and moved on to some big-time programs. Left there and went to Delta State. I was at Delta State for a year. While we were at Delta State, we were 44-9, won the GSC regular season title. And again, we mentioned earlier talking a little bit about Zach Shannon. So got a chance to be around some really good athletes. One of those being Blaine Krim, who's a Mississippi College guy that was drafted by the Rangers, of course. So again, left there, came to UT Dallas the following year, and I've been here since really the fall of 2018 to now.
And, with your experience at UT Dallas, now you are the second head coach in program history. So talk a little bit about kind of your experience preparing you for this role now in the head coaching role, and then talk a little bit about how the previous coach, Coach Shewmake, was able to kind of help guide you into this, preparing for this role.
Yeah, so as far as being prepared, you can think about it and imagine yourself in it, but until you actually get the nod to be head coach, it's a little bit different. But again, I've been around a lot of really good mentors in my life, a lot of really good head coaches. Coach Scott Berry at Southern Miss, Michael Martin at Eastfield Junior College, Mike Kennison at Delta State, and then of course Shane Shewmake here at UT Dallas. So I've had a good list of mentors that have really taught me how to play the game, how to coach the game, the fundamentals of the game, what's to be expected, just a really good group of men that hold guys accountable and how to be successful really on the field and off the field. So I've been very fortunate to be around them and to learn a lot from them. And then of course to Shane Shewmake, obviously he founded the program back in the early 2000s, and he's been the only guy here, and he's never had a losing season. So to think that I'm going to come in and take over and do anything different than what he's been doing would be kind of crazy, I think. But he's been great, man. Again, he hired me. He's kind of taken me under his wing and shown me the ropes, kind of the behind the scenes of being a head coach as well as on the field. So it's been great. He's really mentored me to be able to step into this role and to be successful.
And to kind of go back to last season, at the Division III level, you went 32-6, pretty impressive season. Now moving up to the Division II level, kind of what are some of your goals as you transition in Division II to continue to build off that success?
Well, I think it's to continue to do what we've always done, and that's bring in good players, develop them. Again, teach them how to play the game at a high level. I feel like we've done a good job of that in the past. And since I've been here, our goal moving to the Division II level is to continue to compete for conference championships. I would say probably our first year, we have a goal of finishing in the top 5. I mean, that's our goal. It's a lofty goal. It's a tough goal, but that's why we set them, right? So that's kind of, that's what we're shooting for. That's what we're aiming for. Again, it's going to be extremely difficult. It's one of the best Division II leagues in the country with a lot of really good programs and a lot of really good talent. So we're excited to get in there and compete and see how the transition goes for us.
And, you talk about that conference and the Lone Star Conference and just the opportunity to play it, aside from what you already mentioned, what else excites you about being able to compete in this conference?
I think just the notoriety of it, how good it is. I think it brings a lot to the university to be able to compete at the Division II level. Division II baseball is just so good, and especially with the transfer portal and everything, all the different rules with the NCAA, it's only going to get better. So we're excited about that. I think it's great for our baseball program and just our athletic program in general to be able to offer scholarships and to bring in a little bit different athletes than the Division III athletes that we've had. So I think that's great. And I think we're set up for success with our location, just our education location. And again, the fact that we can offer scholarships for you to come play baseball here for us, I think it sets up very well for us in the future.
And to kind of talk about now transition into like, setting up for the future and the recruiting side of things, how do you recruit players, while you're in a transition period? Kind of like, what do you talk to help get players? Hey, like, I know we're not competing for, the national tournament now, but we could be ready by this time next year.
Yeah, it's been a little difficult at times. There's again with the scholarship deal that we have, we overpay it sometimes just to get those kind of guys here to help us with this transition year. We really lean on the education for that. Try to tell these guys that at some point baseball is going to end for you, and when it does, a degree from this university is going to open up a lot of doors for you. So it's been good. Another avenue we've taken is, we're not eligible for the postseason, but there's a lot of schools that don't make it. So, when it comes down to making your decision, you're talking about possibly 2 extra games, right? So, looking at it from that standpoint, and just trying to say, hey, if we can get our foot in the door and we can compete this year, then it sets up, next year and the years after that. And we've done a good job with that. We've identified guys that have 2 or 3 years left. A lot of our roster will be returning next year and the year after. So we are excited about that. They'll be able to, again, make that transition with us this spring. And, hopefully we're able to get in there and compete a little bit. And then, again, like you mentioned, just open up the doors for the future for us.
And, speaking of competing a little bit, you've had a lot of success competing. You obviously mentioned as a player, you went to the College World Series with Southern Miss. And then at Eastfield College, you won a national championship. Talk a little bit about, those experiences and how they help you from a coaching perspective in terms of, what it takes to have a successful program or have a successful team.
Yeah, one thing I learned when I was younger, and that national title team in Eastfield taught me a lot. We started off that year 0-8, and I was thinking to myself, it was either 0-8 or 1-7, but I was thinking to myself, well, maybe I picked the wrong career field. Maybe I need to do something else. So you kind of learn the patience aspect of it. I was still young at the time. So it's more kind of just learning that, hey, when things aren't going your way, being able to take a step back, being able to pump the brakes and talking to guys instead of yelling and screaming, right? The game's hard enough. So when things aren't going your way, being able to pull those reins back and just have a conversation like you and I are having instead of being so hard on guys. And again, vice versa, when things are going well, you can get on guys a little bit more, right? These kids can take a little bit more when things are going well than when things are going bad, especially in a game of failure. But, just learning that, again, it's a long season. You're talking 4 months, nothing that happens in the first couple of weeks is going to define, the success you'll have towards the middle or end of the year. Understanding that holding each other accountable and showing up and working hard every day and at practice. And, our goal and what we try to do here is we try to make practice difficult. Our job is to prepare you for the game, but our job is to make you move in practice, right? To be aggressive, to learn how we're going to play the game, how to do the little things. We harp on the little things. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing for us is the little things. There's a lot of them. Whether it's an extra step on the lead at first base and now we're safe at second on the ball in the dirt, right? If it's tagging up to get to the next base, if it's getting a bunt down, if it's moving a runner, if it's hitting the first guy in a double relay situation, whatever the case may be, we harp on the little things so much. I think just through my experience, they are really the difference makers in winning baseball, especially when you get down into the regionals and super regionals and the World Series. You really start to see those little things show up. Just with the World Series game, there's so much talk about, Isaiah kind of left at third base, and maybe if he's a foot further off, is he safe at home? You don't know, right? So it's just a lot of little things that we stress every single day, and we think when you add those up through the course of 9 innings, and we're able to be successful in those things, then the score will more than likely be in our favor at the end.
And to branch out on those little things, going back to the recruiting trail, do you look for players who take those little things seriously? And then two, like, how do you, I guess, try to find players who are taking those little things seriously?
Yeah, that's one thing we do. We do really well. I feel like is find guys that do those little things. For me, I'm a big body language guy. When I show up and watch you play, I shouldn't know whether you're 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, right? With how you handle your business, I should have no idea. You should be the same even kill player every single day, regardless if the baseball looks like a golf ball or it looks like a beach ball. There's so much to this game. I think guys get caught up and just, oh man, I was 0 for 4 today. Well, yeah, that's part of baseball, but how did you play defensively? How did you run the bases? Did you help your teammates? Did you pick up something the other team was doing, right? There's so much more to this game than just your performance at the plate. And that's a big thing. That's things we stress to our guys is that, hey man, your last at bat is your most important at bat of the day. Nobody cares if you're 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts if you come up in the ninth with a tying run at third and you do a job, right? That's all they're going to remember. So being able to find guys to do the little things well, taking the extra base, again, being able to communicate on the field, being able to move a runner, having a plan, having an approach, being able to use the whole field is another thing as well. We like guys that aren't just one-dimensional, that aren't just pull happy, like guys that can use the whole field, that can just really handle the bat. A lot of stuff gets thrown around in this game about 60 times and all that. And I may break the internet with this, but I could care less what your 60 time is. I just don't care. I don't care what you run a straight line in. That's great. And speed does play. Don't get me wrong. It is important in this game, but you can't steal first. So if you run a 6.5, but you can't hit, it doesn't really do me a lot of good, right? And I've seen plenty of guys that run a 6.8 and play the game at about a 7.2 and vice versa. So we're looking for guys that can run the bases, that are heads up, that get good reads off the bat, that are aggressive on balls in the dirt. Like I said, they can handle the bat, they can drive the ball to the opposite field, that are on time and 1-0 pitches, that play good defense, that communicate, that are good teammates. That's kind of what we've been after and what we've kind of tried to focus on bringing into the program.
And to branch off, then bringing into the program once they're on campus and in the program, kind of talk a little bit about your philosophy on player development, and how you kind of enhance that player to the next level.
So when our big thing is, and again, we have small groups that we work with where we start kind of instilling the little things we want to do, right? Base running, again, being able to read certain situations, whether it's defensively, whether it's offensively, starting to go over the approach and a plan we have at the plate, what we're looking for in certain counts, what the guy on the mound's trying to do to you, what his goal is, what your goal is, being able to pick up where the defense is positioned before you get in the batter's box pretty much kind of gives you an idea of what that guy on the mound is going to try and do. So it's just teaching them about the little things, the small things. I think when you focus on those things, the game becomes a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but you're able to slow things down a little bit better, right? When you can take a step out of the box and say, okay, I practiced this situation, I understand the situation. I've been here before in the fall, and I know what I need to do in order to be successful. So we, again, just developing those small things in the game and try to help those guys to be, again, productive. It's a little tough, regardless of who you bring in, whether it's out of the portal, whether it's JUCO, whether it's high school. They've all been taught something a little bit differently maybe than what we do here. But the first couple of weeks we let guys play. I'm a big believer in letting guys play. You're here for a reason. You got here for a reason. Go do you, whatever that is, right? Whatever you excel at in this game, I want you to go be you. And if we start to struggle a little bit and if the game looks a little too fast, or maybe we're not quite understanding what we're asking you, then maybe taking some time to kind of break it down a little bit further for you and say, okay, have you thought about this, or look at it this way, or what about if we tried this? right? But I think too often guys come in and everybody wants to say, do it this way, do it that way. This is how we do it here, and we are a little bit more of, we're going to give you 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to let you sink or swim, right? And what I've found over the years is that when you let guys come in for 2 to 3 weeks and be themselves, and when they struggle and you offer that helping hand or that lending hand, or hey, just a different perspective, they tend to take it and run with it, right? Because they're struggling, so they're very open to change and all that kind of stuff. But if you come in on day one and you say, all right, I know you've been successful your whole career, but we're going to do it this way, you kind of get a little bit more of a negative pushback. So we're all about these guys coming in and again doing what got them here, and if we need to make changes along the fall, we will.
And coach, to kind of branch on your experience, as a catcher, when you played versus now, how do you feel the catching position has evolved in college baseball?
Well, I do still think it's one of the premier positions. It just is, right? You have to know where everybody is, where everybody's supposed to be, where everybody's going. I know now coaches tend to call the game a little bit more probably than when I played. That was one of the things that I enjoyed, was having the luxury of being able to understand my guys and being able to call my own games, with the helps of scouting reports and all that kind of stuff. But, now the catching position is just, it seems like it's completely foreign to when I played, right? It's more one knee down and more so, working on getting the low pitch and changing counts from 1-0 to 0-1 and still being athletic and all that. It kind of seems like framing now has taken more of a backseat to throwing and blocking, which I understand. You are going to receive more pitches than you're going to block, and you'll block more than you'll throw throughout a game, right? So that's kind of how we work on things here at this program. But it certainly has come a more athletic position, I think, in the last recent years. But again, with the different philosophies on knee down, knee up, 2 feet, left knee down, right knee down, all that kind of stuff has certainly changed dramatically since when I played.
And coach, to transition now into what fans can expect, what can fans or future fans of UT Dallas baseball expect come this spring?
Yeah, so they can expect accountability. They can expect a group of guys that go out there and compete at a high level. That's one thing we really wanted to instill this fall is a culture of competing when things don't go your way, right? I would think they'll come out and see a resilient group, right? They can take a few punches and give a few back. But a team that, again, is very smart on the field, that does the little things the right way and plays hard. Those are really the big things that we've covered this fall tremendously. Is kind of, and again, it's not a different philosophy than Shane had or anything like that. It's just a new voice saying it, right? But just a group of guys that are going to play for one another, that are going to hold each other accountable, that are going to play hard, that are going to do the little things the right way.
And coach, final question I have for you is, getting to where you are now, who are some people / mentors in your life to help get to where you are today?
Man, Coach Michael Martin at Eastfield College. I played for him. I've coached with him. Just one of the best humans on planet Earth as far as I'm concerned. Really taught me a lot, especially, he had me when I was younger, again, 24, 25, 26. He instilled so much into me, just kind of showing me the route and the path and the hard work and what you need to do in order to be successful and all that good stuff. He was great. Scott Berry at Southern Miss is another guy that I still speak with to today. Just a very blue collar, hard work, no excuses, do your job kind of guy. But again, a lot of compassion. Just an outstanding leader of men. Both those guys are. Again, Shane Shewmake is another one as well. I've been with him for 7 years before I took over. And again, an outstanding human, does things the right way, treats people the right way. Very seldom raises his voice, if ever, unless there's a call he doesn't agree with on the field. That's about the only time I've seen him raise his voice in the 7 years I've been with him. But just an outstanding, great guy. And I think that's why all 3 of those guys have been so successful in their career.
Coach Graves, thank you so much for your time and insights. We wish you and the Comets best of luck this spring as you continue to transition into Division Two, and we'll be looking forward to it.
Awesome. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
And that is head coach Travis Graves at UT Dallas. We'd like to give a big thank you to all of our regional tier Patreon members. We couldn't make it to the ninth inning without the support of all of you. You're the real MVPs, hitting a home run for the team every single time. Thank you.